lot to go back and listen in to see what's going on. Let me go ahead with the start my video as well. So I think that helps some of you. It's not going to help today. You see the wall. All right. Yeah, I hopefully this will be a short meeting. So trying to finalize the survey and so we can get that to the implementation committee, which meets tomorrow, by the way. Want to make sure we welcome Chris. And were you able to get your microphone to work, Chris? It doesn't look like he did. Yeah, he must be, yeah. So there is a little microphone at the bottom you can click to see if it's unmuted. And there we go. But, so we have a few new people, which I've introduced through email to everyone. And thank you, Kendall, for providing this wonderful research grid.
Oh, great.
Yeah, I'm going to bring it up so everyone can see. You can also go to the website and pull that up. I don't want to manage the recording. I want to share the screen. Let's look at the. So I loved what she had put together here. The way she had broken it down into different topics, which really makes a great start for any writing we would want to do about what we're doing here. So again, I want to thank Kendall and her team for doing such an awesome job with this. We have the first category she has is the early assessment and early warning systems. The student readiness piece. I love that. What is the definition of success? Self-directed learning. I think it behooves us to just kind of go through this on our own time and just take a look. I think if we find in any additional readings or articles in any of these categories, we can certainly summarize them and put them in and add them to this document.
Okay.
So, and she did even have lack of computer accessibility. Actually, I have lots of things on Digital Divide that could be added there. Faculty best practices. So I think it's a valuable resource. I'm going to shift what I'm sharing. I want to share it with you. So one of our major tasks today is to just take a quick look here to make sure that we have the appropriate services indicated that we think is valuable for students to have. And I added the 4 categories across the top. Does anybody want to change those categories? You think that covers it?
I'm not able to see what you're sharing. Am I doing something wrong?
No, I'm doing something wrong.
Oh, okay.
I've got the page pulled up on my other screen.
Yes.
Can I confess something? I'm having difficulty navigating this PBWorks site.
Oh.
And keeping on point.
Okay.
As to what's expected and what we can do to contribute.
Okay. I think that it is on one hand it's very simple, but then on the other hand it can be a little confusing. So when you click on a page, you can click, if you look at the top here next to view and edit, you click on the edit, and you must click on the edit in order to put to type on the page. and then you must click on Save, which is at the bottom of the page, so it's not right next to each other.
Okay, that's the individual page functionality, but the organization of what's current and what's been added,
Okay, so
that's where I'm running into trouble. What should I be looking at?
I put our objectives at the top of the page, and then if you scroll down, I have documents in draft, minutes, recording, and final documents.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you click on Survey 3, it opens up the survey page, and then if you want to add something, you click on this.
Okay.
Now on the far right side, if you see, you can create a page, you can upload files, and invite more people. So that's all sitting in the column on the left-hand side.
Mm-hmm.
I am dyslexic. I will mess up right and left. So anyway, right-hand side. And then you can see there's more information. As you scroll down, you can also see recent activity. So that's where you would see if things are being added. Yeah, if you click on the more activities, it expands, and then yeah, see, this takes you to a page. Right. Yeah, so Gladys is saying you can also click on these, and they expand, and you can see what kind of edits have been made.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes, it does. It also might help if we could have a little agenda for these meetings.
Oh, I'm sorry.
There is a link called agenda, but it's not us.
No, that's a pre-made page, and you're right. I should have mentioned that. I'm kind of putting in 12-hour days trying to make it through the end of the semester.
I understand.
I'm not usually this disorganized.
I visited this site twice in this past week, trying to think what do I need to do here?
I am trying to just arrive. I have April 30th to start on my calendar. That's when the faculty will go home and they start.
Okay.
Just hang in there, Victoria.
You know, oh man, I like meeting. So I'm trying. I'm so sorry. So yes, you can click on the agenda. I can certainly start posting something there. I will do my best.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's go back now to the page. You know what? You can also navigate from the pages and files. So I can actually find, let me see, where's the survey, second survey, version 3. There it is. And I can navigate from there. Okay. So now let's go back to our columns.
Okay.
Do you think those are fine? Do you think we need more or less?
Are you asking for just binary responses in these boxes?
Yes.
Yes or no?
Yeah. Or clicking in and it selects it. So I'm thinking they can put all that apply. Maybe we should select the method and then the method, and I'll put parentheses method. How's that? Change that. And then they can select how they're offering that. And I wanted, I believe when I talk with advisors, they actually think telephone is appropriate. I wasn't sure if we could call that a virtual, or do we really want that to be separate or different?
No, I think telephone is virtual.
Okay. That's fine with me. We'll handle it from there.
Here's a question. You have the columns campus
after hours virtually, or virtual after hours. Are you looking for them to indicate how late they offer those services as well, or is it just anything after 5 p.m.?
Well, that's a good question. So do we want to break that down into 10 o'clock or 24 hours?
The reason why I ask is that we're going through something here at the college where we have some after-hours call center folks that stick around, but they are only here until about 9, 10 o'clock, or they're available until about 9 or 10. But as we're looking at some of the traffic on our virtual campus site, we're seeing that a lot of these students or prospective students aren't hitting the site until 10, 30, 11, 12. And so we have this epic battle as to whether or not it would be helpful to have someone readily available or some kind of knowledge base, deeper knowledge base than what we have, that's accessible into the wee morning, hours of the morning. And I don't know what other schools, I don't know what their services are and how late they offer these services.
Yes, and I know in our case, when we look at call center across the whole university, we have found that students typically will not call after 10 o'clock. But that's our population. So
right.
We could look like, I didn't include at weekends. Is that another column maybe we want to put in?
That's a good point. Yeah.
Might be.
Okay, so do we
FIU does 9 to 9 Monday through Friday, and then we do Saturday 9 to 5. So maybe you want to add that. I don't know.
Okay, let me see if I can insert a column after. There it is. And then, so we would, yeah, so we'd run, do you think we should do campus weekend and campus virtual, or virtual weekend? Or just weekend?
Well,
I think you'd have to make the distinction between both again.
Okay. Okay.
and that's where that gets a little blurry because in my mind I would think with virtual, well, no, never mind. I retract that statement.
These conversations. And then, do we want them to put their hours in these? I mean, that means we have to put text boxes. Trying to think how we could do that. If we just want another column, do we want after hours, and maybe, I know, we do campus.
It's getting awfully granular that way.
Yeah, it does. I wonder if we offer.
I think that's good the way it is.
Okay.
With maybe changing the label virtually to off campus or distance or well, what are we really talking about? We're talking about online or telephone, or is there any other way that services might be provided?
I think any way other than face-to-face would kind of fall under virtual, right?
Right.
Yes,
Right.
I agree.
So let's do this. Put a note. Virtual. Includes telephone, web conferencing. What else?
Email, chat.
Mm-hmm.
Does that work?
Yeah.
Right. That's progress. Are we ready to go into the services?
Let me throw out a disclaimer there. I struggled with, if we just have big categories like admissions and financial aid, they could have one piece of that could qualify in all the categories, but it's not necessarily true of all services within the category. So I wasn't sure how deep to go. So like for admissions, should requests for information be a separate line item? Should campus tours be a separate line item? Like I didn't know how detailed we wanted to get.
Yes.
In other words, so at FIU, like I'm sure all college, I guess, but like the idea of a one-stop. So you have a generalist who can answer financial aid questions, but how deep can they go? Is that kind of what you're referring to a little bit also, Lynn?
But even for, let's say, if we talk about career planning, not all institutions may have an online resource where students can go work on improving their resume. They may have to come on campus to do that. Or some schools may have where they have to do their, I mean, this should never happen nowadays. They have to do their registration on campus, or do they go through their student portal? Or if they can they do change of majors on campus, or do they do them online? But that's getting to a whole lot of level of detail that I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's why we went back and forth. Now, we may not include our questions on the general survey. And that was some of the questions that we were trying to address in our implementation meeting, because I think this is a good approach, what we're doing, but we need to kind of decide how granular is it. And I agree with Lynn in that if we don't get it broken down into those smaller steps, then you could say, yes, we do all of our admissions online, but you know, what pieces are you still making them come to campus for? So, I mean, we keep going around and around about the orientation. So,
Yeah.
yeah, and they keep saying, no, we want them to be on campus, and I keep saying you can't make them come on campus if they're online. So, you know, and they keep going back and forth on me, and we have to really hold the line there because they keep forgetting we have 100% on. So, I think that's a discussion that we should have. And as for us to make recommendations, do we need that granular data?
I mean, the safest strategy that I can think of so that, you know, we don't get too deep is I think that there are core services, and then there are just a lot of little extra things. So a student may, so admissions, if you say core service, including like application for online, submission of residency documentation, and the main primary things that are pre-enrollment, rather than going to every little possible process that might be at institutions. So for advising, can they get advising? Can they see what programs are available? Like the core services within that, not every service. I don't know.
Yeah, so, I mean, I think we can organize the table if we want. So let me insert a row after admissions. So by indenting, increase indent, we go.
Is the purpose of the survey to provide a roadmap to schools that want to go do this? Or what is the purpose of this survey?
Yes. Oh, that would go back to our first question.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure that I'm following this too.
Right. So, and that's what we were trying to determine. At the end of the day, one of the things we're supposed to be doing is we're going to make recommendations about what we feel are great practices in serving online students. And we talked about whether we could do research to just simply do research and assemble what we think are good services. Or do we, and I think it was Rob, the last time we were together, and he pointed out if we know where people are right now, then we can build this so it's dynamic. And and really truly assist groups in figuring out what would be where they are and where they can improve. So, actually, I think when you stop and think about it, if you're looking at a what would you call, even if like a Quality Matters scorecard, we're going to recreate a Quality Matters scorecard for student services, right? And if we did that, this is really getting us really close to that point once we're done here, right? So we'd have beginning data that we can say, this is where institutions are today, and then we can look down the road in a year or 2 years from now, give the same survey, and we can see how the institutions across the system have improved.
Okay.
I hope they would not improve. But
So
okay.
it's kind of like an inventory of where we are at.
Understood.
Yeah.
So I think it might be helpful then there might be universities who are further along than others, and if they're unable to bring in that experience into the survey, then what we end up with is potentially a lost opportunity for a school who's further along to share more of what they might be doing. So if it's possible to have additional, how in a Qualtrics survey, if you click a button, it opens up other questions.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering how much do we want universities to share? Do we want the universities to share as much as they can? Or like Lynn was saying, more just the main sort of categories?
I'm wondering if we do want them to share, because I am very concerned. If you say you're doing admissions online, okay, are you still requiring them to come to campus to show an ID?
Yes. To do a pin reset.
Right. I know there's always been, it took us a long time to get this at our institution sorted out, but we now have an electronic onboarding piece so that they don't have to come to campus to show us their shot record, for example. So I think those are important pieces to consider. So I think if we can find a happy ground, maybe it's some detail, but not
Every little thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wonder if the compromise could be, you have the core services, so you've got good aggregate data, and then there's a question for what other services do you offer to online students, and then have the other question, what don't you currently offer online that you would like to?
Yes, we can't anticipate everything that's going to be out there, so we should have some open-ended questions.
I think that would be great. Yeah.
All right. So, Lynn, can you repeat that for me, or I can play the tape?
It was, I think the first one was, what other services do you offer to your, or support for processes do you offer to online students? I mean, other than the core essential pieces that you'd be on the SACS naughty list if you weren't.
Yeah. Okay. Does your offer for the online? I hate typing on when people are watching me. I stress myself out.
No pressure.
Writing is rewriting.
Okay, offer service. What does your is to offer online service? That is not listed here. What was the second one?
What services are not available to online students that you are working towards implementing? I mean, that some people may hesitate to say.
How about planned? Let's ask for planned services.
That's safer. Thank you.
What services? I think I don't want to say planned services. What services are in development or
Yeah.
right?
You know what? Another good question could potentially be, what traditional sort of processes, or what processes have always had a face-to-face requirement, or like, that could be changed. So for example, here, the appeals process, advisors would look at us and say, well, how would we do appeals for fully online students? They have to come in for signatures. And it took us a few months to make them realize that could be changed. And I just wonder if maybe a question like that could help schools think about some of those processes that they never even imagined could be changed.
So it seems as we start digging, more, which is fine. So do we want to break down the effective students inquiry into different categories?
So you're fading out there, Vicki.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Can I hear you?
Okay. Do we want to break these into the services down into these categories? I'm just adding these ones in at the top so you can kind of see what it looks like.
Yes, some subordinate items would be, as was mentioned earlier. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, do you do campus tours for online? We have a whole discussion on this.
You can have virtual tours.
Yeah, I wonder, can we ask about virtual? Do you offer? We actually are trying to discourage them from even looking at that virtual tour. Doesn't need to be buildings. So,
You're breaking up, Vicki.
we're doing in-house discussion.
Oh.
Do you offer virtual campus tours? Right.
Well, that would just be the service is virtual campus tours. We'll find out from the grid what they offer and what they don't.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Thank you. All right. Up. All right. Do we need anything else under admissions? I think they need to be able to turn in their transcripts, letters of reference, online, right?
Yeah.
Able to submit. Does that work?
Yeah, maybe documentation / application, required application, supplementals, because everything from residency to transcripts.
Yes. Submit admissions. Let's call it admissions documentation. Would that work?
I think so, because that could count your immunizations and things like that.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think that includes all of that. Yes. Okay. Now, under financial aid, what do you think we need to put there? Do we need to put something?
I mean, FAFSA's a given. That's an easy one.
Yeah.
What about
ability to talk to a financial aid counselor, though, right?
That's important.
Yep.
Am I using the right term, counselor?
It's counselor/advisor. Depends on your school.
We use coordinator.
Coordinator? Advisor. Coordinator. All right.
Talk with a person.
One of the things that is not in is the web, sort of the web-based information. Is that something that we want to have? So, FAQs or ability to, I don't know.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do. Yeah, you're right. We have two websites. We have the pre-enrollment website, and then we have the student website for after. So.
Right. We do too.
Yeah. So web. How about web presence? With FAQ. Does that work?
Yeah.
All right. So able to talk. Is there anything else we need under financial aid?
Well, let's think about what do students require, what kind of assistance do they require from financial aid? There's the federal application, there's accounting and bookkeeping, and that's not just pre-enrollment, but sometimes they turn to financial aid to figure out what they owe, or what benefits remain.
Student financials. Yeah. So we have our financial aid coordinator also doubles as our student financials rep. So we have a one-stop for those things. But I think you're right. I think those are all issues that we should probably address.
Okay. I need
separate or together.
I need advice. What do you want me to put here? How would we put that?
Is it one? Maybe it all falls under one-on-one support, which is what you've got there. I don't see a good way to. How could support services be provided other than talking to somebody?
There's some schools have financial literacy programs that might be.
Yes.
And then other than just general talking to people, the only other thing I can think of that is a process that's painful for students is if they're selected for verification.
Yep. What would you call it? Financial aid
Financial literacy program.
Or
the services, financial literacy assistance, maybe, or.
Okay, that works, I think. All right. Now, this one's interesting, a placement test. So, testing. I don't know. Do they offer placement tests online? Do you have to come on campus? I don't know.
I'm trying to think of the name of that math placement test. So the university requires all freshmen to take the math placement test, but we have not been able to require the fully online students to take it. So I'm not sure, at least at FIU, what the obstacle is at this point, but the students we've been able to get to take it voluntarily, it's online. So there is a virtual option for that test. Do you know what test I'm referring to?
We use Alex.
Alex, yes, that's the test I'm thinking of. So it is available virtually.
It is.
Yeah.
I think in the onboarding process, but we have our onboarding process is through Blackboard. So the test is linked from Blackboard over to that. So that may be why we're not experiencing it. Just a suggestion.
Okay, that's helpful.
Yeah. Well, we kind of did that for two reasons. We firmly believe that every student needs to be trained in how to access our learning management system, which is why we built our onboarding process in the learning management system, and that does allow us to link immediately to the test. All right, so I think maybe that's a single line then.
Yeah. I mean, because the only alternative that I know that some schools have done is if a student really has to take it and they aren't anywhere local, they can go get, if they had to, something proctored at a different site where they live.
Right.
I know we have our students come in who have to take the PERT test, but I'm not sure if I just wrote to the dean over that area to find out if there is an online option there, but I'm not sure. There's not one, Lynn, at all?
I think you have to go to an approved testing site, but it doesn't have to be at the school. All they need is the scores.
Right.
So if they can get approval to go elsewhere that's close to them, then.
Yes, I think you're right. So, but you know what? That is an interesting question that we should be addressing. And I haven't really thought about it. And you're right. We should maybe advocate for these testing companies to begin putting together virtual tests that can be. But I guess maybe they're wanting people to proctor them to keep validity. Yeah, that's an interesting question. All right. On the advising piece, so. Academic goals, I think, is a good one. And you know what? I think let's make career counseling a separate category, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a lot. I think we would be breaking that down.
I think under advising, we need some transcript review also, transcript evaluation.
Yeah, that's.
Because that could be a big difference between campus service and virtual service.
Like a degree audit, so to speak?
Yeah, preliminary for, pre-admission, pre-enrollment.
Okay.
UCF is a huge transfer admissions school, and
Yes.
We deal with it all the time.
Right. And then, or you call it, Lynn, what did you call it? Transcript evaluation. You called it, what term did you?
Kendall used degree audit.
Degree audit.
Yeah.
Just in case. What else should be in this advising piece? Early award, early.
Enrollment planning. What classes are they going to take?
Yeah, I mean, and depending on the institution, there might be elements of personal development strategies. Whether the advisors talk to the student or not about time management or those pieces, but not, it varies very much by.
Yeah, Drew, I appreciate your submitting that success coach survey that you put on the wiki, and I was surprised at how narrowly focused it was on academic skills. It was very much about academic skills, time management.
Yes.
That seems to be the focus, and we've been thinking here about success coaching as more assisting off-campus students in negotiating the university.
Yeah, and I think that's accurate. I mean, I think that's definitely a large part of it. I think but with it, at least for us, within the context of the academic skills and readiness and, in working in their courses with professors and that. But then the navigating the university, we find, at least here, is sort of comes out of that part. Mm-hmm. Usually it's a course-related issue or a struggle that leads to, then the university support and how all that works. But yeah, no, I think you're right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I also added following early award notification and follow through contact. Is that okay?
Except that we're under the pre-enrollment section,
Oh, you're right.
so that would probably fall on post-enrollment.
You don't think these others would as well?
Well,
Some of them bridge.
Yeah.
here, so I want to ask that actually. So advising at FIU doesn't start until the student commits. In other words, they become an admitted student and they pay their deposit. Is that, so if this was pre-enrollment, but we're stuck pre-enrollment but post-admission, right? Because even transcript evaluation will not start until they've accepted their admission.
That's not the case at UCF, but it's not institutional support, it's departmental support.
Okay.
A candidate can go to a UCF department and have them look at their transcript and discuss their majors. Is this a good one for me to, how would I fit in with what's required here at UCF? So that does happen.
And are they able to do that virtually as well?
I don't think so.
Oh, yeah. Okay. That's I guess that's what it is here. So because it's not they can't walk in. If it's our virtual students have no access to their advisor.
Well, no, I take that back. We have some online programs that are very robust and committed to assisting students at a distance, and we do have that occur.
Okay, on a program by program basis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And my understanding is that's kind of where this coach role would differ from an advisor or counselor, because at least looking at the Complete Florida model, the coaches are sometimes one of the first points of contact for these students that want to come back to and finish school. And the coach idea, they're the first point of contact, and they pass them off to the advisors at a particular institution who work directly with the student, but the coach is kind of still there in the background, so to speak. So maybe that, depending on the institution and their current process of doing the things, maybe that's where a coach role could come in to fill the gap if some of these institutions do not have someone that's there from pre-enrollment, or at that pre-enrollment stage.
I think it wouldn't hurt to have the duplication in both categories. I think we'll just have to define what pre-enrollment is. And so is it at the point of admission, or is it at let's say they've sat in a class?
I think of pre-enrollment as the intake processes,
Up until
and that goes right through admissions. It's onboarding, so to speak,
But at what point does the handoff happen?
when they start classes.
So once they're registered for classes or have sat in a class.
Yes. Yes. But and also a lot of these services we're talking about will apply both pre-enrollment and post-enrollment.
Right. So at FIU, we created a position for that gap called the enrollment coach. And that's the person, Lynn, just like what you just described, that's the person that bridges the gap until they get to their advisor and their success coach. Or Kendall, I'm sorry, it was Kendall that said that.
Yes, I'm going to move this down. That definitely occurs after classes start. Did we put advising? Yeah, here it is. And then I wonder if we do personal development strategy / academic coaches, or do we need a separate line for academic success coaches, whatever it might be? Because it sounds like some of you are beginning that right here. Am I right?
Yeah, I mean, we find at FIU that advisors, they just can't do all of that. So that's where, the success coach here, that's where that really comes in and does all the personal development and all of those other things. Yeah. College readiness.
Yes, I think it's a little different when you're looking at personal development strategies. you know, that you might do. We try to include time management and stuff into our those things into our onboarding, but having a coach is a little different than that. So I think
Yeah.
they are different. Okay, and is that enough under? You know, and you know what? I'm going to call this pre-enrollment. That way it'll clarify that. No, there shouldn't be any confusion, right? Career planning is one of those, I think, that goes across. I'm not familiar with veteran services. Is there something other than providing educational benefits?
It'll depend on the institution. Some will have veteran centers with all kinds of activities, clubs, and support groups. But at the bare minimum, it would be having to collect all the documentation from the students to make sure what veterans chapter they are, determining what their eligibility status is, and then they have to enter all that into a separate VA system in addition to whatever campus-based systems there are.
So I do question access to activities, right?
I mean, in the pre-stage, maybe not.
Maybe, oh, okay.
I think it would be mainly just establishing their benefits.
So it's mainly describing those benefits, right?
Yeah, establishing their approved educational benefits is going to be the most important thing for them.
Yeah, I think the services are more like financial aid services. It's really, do I have access to one-on-one support and advice?
So is it one-on-one advice or establishing the benefits?
We said able to talk to a financial counselor, advisor, coordinator earlier.
I was just looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we just say access to an individual for advising. Access to support personnel, yes.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, there's two things, helping them with the financial piece, right? And then
Yeah, and then you can put in parentheses financial, VA processes. What were the other ones you said, Lynn?
Maybe the most broad category is transition support services.
okay. You know, I think that's a little different. So I'm gonna.
That would be a different piece.
Yeah.
And there'd probably be very different responses to that one.
Yes. I think that works. Okay.
And very possibly different offices.
Very possible. You're right. It's amazing.
And Vicki, would you make a similar change to the financial aid
Okay.
subline? Yeah.
All right. And then career counseling, I think there's a lot to be said here. So, some of it's pre-enrollment, some of it's not. So, I think first off here is exploring career tracks. What else would a career counselor do at this point?
Exploring employment outlooks. But that might be able to go with career tracks even.
Yeah. Well, for us, it's a little more than that. It might be an internship or
For the post piece, though, not the pre, right?
no, we've actually embedded this now into our pre-enrollment processes.
Wow,
So,
that's beautiful.
yeah, so it's when they come in, we're actually connecting them to internships in the community. I think there's a couple internships and we are actually offering packages now with those internships built in.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
So
Jealous.
we just purchased a product called Career Coach here at the college, and because we're now part of this Guided Pathways initiative, and students can go in, and it's something that's on our website, and they can take an assessment based on their interests and their perceived skill set, et cetera. It's like a self-evaluation, self-efficacy assessment. But I don't know if that's something we can include here, but having that information available to students would maybe mitigate having to have a person there to talk to them each step along the way. They could at least maybe take those first steps, take the evaluation themselves, and then speak to somebody based on the results.
In fact,
Right.
ours is all virtual at that point.
Oh,
Every
okay.
student is participating in this whatever software package it is. Yeah.
We've got the same thing. So, Vicki, maybe we can just add one more item saying career assessments.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay.
Career assessments. I think we had mentioned that earlier actually somewhere, but in the FIU they have My Major Match, so I think
Right.
it's a similar. No one takes it, by the way, but that's something we're trying to figure out how to get students to take online,
Yeah, we use
or the fully online students.
Yes.
and FBC's working on Cooter, so.
Yep.
That's
Yeah.
a Cooter product, actually. Yeah.
Oh,
Would
wow.
you say it's not working?
Well, we use Career Coach, but FLVC has been working on. I know they did K-12 with Cooter, and I think they were working on higher ed.
Yeah.
Okay. Is orientation all by itself, or do we need to break it down?
If you were to talk to your students, services people, there might be different expectations for first time in college and all other student types.
Yes, absolutely. We have different orientations. There's parent services for FTICs.
Yeah.
So let's break it down to first time in college
Okay.
Well, we divide it between transfer student admissions and first year admissions.
Onboarding, I think, is for the onboarding process. I don't know if everyone has that or not. Onboarding. You're saying, what do you do for transfer students?
No, I would just break it into two separate categories.
Okay, so what would you do?
Freshman or first year advising and transfer student or orientation and transfer student orientation.
Yeah, I mean, I could leave parent because that's kind of a unique one that some schools are doing better at, but definitely first year and then transfer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we've never had a fight for having transfer online, but it's been people have very vocal opinions about what should be done with FTICs.
Oh yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
discourage it.
Yes, I would say we have the same issues here. Yeah, you should see the poor guy who's he and I personally get along very well, but then we butt heads every time we turn around over his is it FTIC?
Yeah.
FTIC.
Yeah. Oh my, you should just see him. He cringes. So he visually cringes every time I talk about it. Oh. Uh-huh.
In the FTIC,
And then,
accordance with the reading one of the parentheses. First time in college.
Well, I do think this is, I'm doing it, but I think people do know what FTIC is. All right. So, and you would put your first year advising under that too. Okay. So what would transfers, how would transfers to this look?
I think you could just probably leave it at that.
Oh, okay.
I agree.
Yeah,
All right. I thought they had undo.
right there, the green, look.
There it is,
all the way
yeah.
around. Mhm.
Okay. Canvas does not have an undo button. I was so frustrated because there was no undo button. Okay. Registration.
Let me ask a question. Is our scope here just undergraduate?
No, I think graduates are also important.
Okay, then I think we need to add graduates in here too.
Okay.
Although we don't offer any orientation programs for graduate students. Some may. Some programs may. Yes, some of our programs do have orientations. Yeah.
Okay. 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 All right. Do we registration? I'm hopeful that everyone can now register online, but maybe not.
One would hope.
Yes.
So maybe if you just say course registration?
Yeah, let's do that. Do we need to?
Because then
Does it
What about,
need to be?
Access to course catalog pages, things like that. Is that important?
I think so. And like the class schedule.
Access to course information, because that includes
Oh,
catalog
you
and
know what?
schedule.
Okay, that's a good way to put it.
We do flight plans, and I think several universities do something similar to a flight plan. So would that come under registrar, or would that come under orientation?
How would you? What is a flight plan? How would you describe that?
It's you literally can plan your 4 years out with the flight plan, and each department has set up the flight plan for that incoming freshman. Like, we expect you to take these classes this semester, and these classes the next semester. So it they can.
So they're
map-
able to project. They're able to project out their course offerings 4 years in advance.
Yes.
Oh wow.
UCF did that once. It was a big failure, but I think we call it guaranteed graduation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
For us, that would fall under advising
Right. Okay. So.
and the academic goal and enrollment planning.
Well, I will tell you that for those of you who haven't been able to do that in the past, we do have new software that we're connecting these flight plans to, and that way department chairs are going to know when they need to offer certain classes.
That's
Wow.
Yeah, so we're going to be able to plan 4 years out,
beautiful.
which is really cool. But we had to buy software packages to help us do that. So we had to get the predictive registration software package, and now we're getting the piece that we can put those academic plans in, and then they'll be able to merge. It's pretty awesome. Payment for courses, I think that should be available online. I think we're starting to get more into post-enrollment services, right?
Can you change access to course catalog to access to course information?
How about both?
Okay.
Okay. Payment for courses, shouldn't they come under post-enrollment?
Unless payments required before the start of classes. it depends on where we define that cutoff. If they have to pay before that they can payment for courses or application fees or deposits, how would they manage that for online students? Theoretically, they just log in and pay, but
Right. For courses, application, and what else? You had
deposit fees.
deposits. Yes. Okay. Oh, guess what? You have right off the bat advising. All right. So, availability of advisors.
I think you might be able to copy a lot of what you had up above.
Yep.
Do you think there's going to be a distinction between availability of these services for pre-enrollment and post-enrollment, those that bridge it? I'm thinking maybe retitle to call the first one pre-enrollment and post-enrollment, and then this section is exclusively post-enrollment. And that would be things like early alert and where are the others? I have them up here. Job placement, tutoring, library services, those would all be exclusively post-enrollment.
Right. Okay.
Student campus life activities, exclusively post-enrollment. Yeah, I know that the categorization was originally my suggestion, and when I started thinking about services, I realized that there was overlap.
There's some crossover. So, but this is where you get your program planning, right?
That could be pre and post.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well,
But so your early alert would really, at this point, probably be your only distinction that would only be available once you're a student.
You know,
you don't need a degree audit.
The exclusively post-enrollment services would be counseling, job placement, tutoring, library, proctoring, and campus life activities. The ones you've got there.
Right.
And
I would
early
add
alert,
success coaching, I think.
and early alert interventions.
All right.
Yeah.
Success.
I would add success and academic coaching as post-enrollment also.
Really?
Yes.
Because those typically start at enrollment. Enrolled in courses.
Okay.
A.
AC.
Yeah. Academic. I think that's important. Okay. Well, that's program planning. I think the counseling. What do you mean by counseling? Let's make sure we know what that's defining as.
When I added that in, it's the mental health aspect of
Yes,
counseling.
CAPS.
Yes, we should probably put our counseling falls under student health services,
Yes. So.
which is one of the few student health services that can be provided at a distance or virtually,
Yeah. So.
but there might be others.
So do I need subcategories?
Proctoring is there.
I think that would be dangerous.
Mm-hmm. I'm thinking it would be as well. Okay, and then I think these should be broken down into career services.
And I think that success/academic planning should actually be success/academic coaching and probably have its own line,
Okay.
like, on the left.
coaching? You want two different ones?
I think it could be one line, but it's its own category. It shouldn't be on, like, I don't know, you have this as like, it seems like you have 4 subcategories here under post-enrollment, or should those all be left aligned? I'm not sure.
Is that better?
That's good right there.
Okay.
Yeah, Vicki, would you do me a favor and click Save and Continue so all these changes pop up on my other?
You're right. I'm getting very used to the Google Docs where it saves it automatically for you.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm getting lazy.
Yep. There they are.
There we go. All right, so we do want career planning here. So let's do, you want that, the success in academic coaching, you don't want that under advising? Or you do?
No, well, I think it's a separate category because I think we're talking about specific people who feel it's a different role than advising.
Okay, but I think career coaching, or would we call it career coaching or?
Career services? Should that just be career services there?
Yeah, and I think there's different things that do occur there. There's the job placement, the resume, interview preparation. Yeah. I think those need to be broken into different categories. So, you know what? I think we're getting there. Tutoring, I think that's good. Now, do we want to break down services from the library?
I think just like in some of the other ones, maybe access to personal support.
Yeah, in our SACS information, I think the furthest, I think one of the levels we felt really comfortable with was like access to research assistance and access to materials. But I think access to support personnel is perfect because that could be research assistance.
And what was this? Oh, materials, yeah. Well, and you know what? There's a little more to that. In fact, we're working with them right now, our library, on their, I don't know if you call it the library classes, that how to do things in the library. Is that training? Library training?
Like workshops?
Workshops / tutorials, maybe?
Yeah. Okay.
Materials and databases, access to databases is a big deal.
Okay. I think that covers it. All right. Academic proctoring, makeup tests. That's okay by itself, right?
Should we specify virtual proctoring? I'm not sure because
Well, we do ask if it's virtual right here. And
you're right. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
If is it on campus or is it virtual?
Okay.
And there's another survey that FLVC just put out asking each institution to identify which specific online proctoring services they use.
Yes.
So we can maybe combine that information as far as if we're asked.
Right.
proctoring can be provided in person by third parties.
That's kind of what I was sort of thinking, because sometimes we do have professors who will not use virtual, but they'll allow a student to go to a local community college or whatever.
So,
Local in the student's area, I mean.
So, yeah, and
let's do virtual
and face-to-face. Well, no, that's
Well, our checkboxes are actually going to cover that.
So are we? Yeah, you're right, because we asked.
But on campus.
But it's not on campus. It's an off-campus distant student thing.
Maybe it just needs. Well, remember with I don't think that survey, Lynn, covered that. Whether you could, it was just asking about the software, correct?
Which vendors?
Yeah, which vendors.
Yeah.
So I was trying. I think. How do we make? That almost needs to be a separate question, right?
Yeah. It doesn't fall into this grid.
Yeah. Was your
Well, there are types of proctoring that do fall into this grid,
allow
but the type
off?
of face-to-face off-campus third party does not fall into this. So that could be the separate question. Do you engage or participate in third-party off-campus proctoring?
It may not be live. Some
Or-
people, depending on their solution, may be recorded.
I'm trying to think of off-site location.
Third party?
Off-site third. Okay. Okay. Student life and activities. Are we done? Are we okay? I know there's a lot of discussion going on, but did we want to change that proctoring line?
Why is makeup testing in there?
I think that's more from the college's perspective, maybe?
Yeah, I threw it in there just because at our institution, it's always a question of who's responsible or how are makeup tests allowed. I mean, theoretically, it's instructor how they want to handle it, but not all the departments agree. So I think it could just be academic proctoring.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm thinking the makeup test is a bigger issue on face-to-face for face-to-face students because you pretty much can set your own time you're going to take an academic proctor test. So, okay. Student life then. Do we want different categories? And this one is where maybe it's an open-ended question because I think we might all provide different types of life, right?
Yeah, that's difficult in a survey.
Yeah.
How about?
Well, there is participation in student organizations is pretty concise.
That one is, yes.
And I think it's going to vary for the whether you have to do it on campus, you offer it in campus to online students, whether you offer virtual or not. I'm suggesting that could go in the grid, participation in campus and student organizations.
I think organizations, yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So in between those two questions, we need to open act. I'd like to. I'm actually very interested to hear how different institutions are including that in.
Yeah, this is changing here at UCF. Traditionally, it was yes, but we're reducing student fees for online students. They are no longer going to be eligible for student fee support. It's registered, recognized student organizations because they're not paying the fees.
Wow.
So we have a similar situation, Bob, and just as an aside, we've been able to work with a lot of the organizations and kind of get them to agree to allow, even though the students aren't paying the fee, because they understand the benefits of, if they have more student participation, then they can go ask for more funding. So it's an interesting sort of dynamic that's taken a long time to get, and we've had a couple different organizations kind of be helping us out with that. But so it's definitely not a close the door situation, I think, in what you're trying to do.
Yeah. Well, it's not resolved yet. It's still under discussion, but I think that's the way it's going.
Yeah.
Sorry, my battery's running low, so I better plug in.
We saw, Dickie.
There we go.
Vicki, I'm going to have to step out, so if I could, I'll explain why I put in the things under the disability services.
Sure.
I didn't know necessarily what would be the best fit there, but with our processes, we've done a lot of changes in the past few years. So our really goals have been making sure that students can schedule their appointments and find a way to connect with the DRC without coming to campus. They do Skype, things like that, and they actually go through an intake appointment with us. And then we've implemented a solution on how they get their memo of accommodations, notifications, and things like that. So it's really about, how do they get connected to the DRC? How do we onboard them through DRC? And then how do they get their accommodations after that? So that was kind of my thought, but feel free to change any of it.
Yes. So I think you're right. Those are the three main points. Unless if someone else have some input there?
I'm sorry. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
All right. You too.
Bye.
All right.
How about access to?
Well, I think one of them is the captioning, right? Captioning.
Well,
That's an accommodation.
that's a type of, our biggest academic accommodations are captioning for the hard of hearing and additional time for testing. Those are the two single biggest things we do. But there are other academic accommodations too.
Yeah, so
Most of them are kind of physically related, so they're not going to be so like access to classrooms and. But what would apply to online students, I think, is
that would be an academic accommodation, though. Yeah, I don't know. I think we can get really into the weeds on that one. I don't know if we need to.
Oh, it's the other is screen readers.
Yeah, the screen.
Captioning and additional testing time.
Okay, that covers testing and the technology pieces. Okay. What about? Okay, are we okay with the student services piece?
I think so.
Okay.
This entire grid, yeah, I think it's a good piece of work.
I am very proud of us.
I'm going to be sharing it.
Good. Yeah, I think it's a good bit. Now, do we want participation in student organizations? Do we think that's enough right here? Particularly when we added the other open-ended question?
Yes.
I think it is. So let's
Say.
say. Describe what your institution is doing to retain. I thought that an open-ended might be a little easier for us to process.
Okay, do we have another meeting scheduled?
I think she scheduled us for every 2 weeks, but I have to give this survey to the
Okay.
tomorrow.
No, I don't see it on my calendar for the
Um,
21st.
So I think, are you okay with these other questions?
Yeah, just a few grammatical things, just since I know we've been typing these up. Number 3, what are the minimal technology? I guess we'd either just say technologies or what is the minimal technology? Is your institution? And then number 4, we'll take out the S under institutions. So what other services does your institution? Number 5, what other services is maybe your institution? Well, I don't know, I guess what we're looking at what other institutions are thinking about implementing. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, that's perfect. Just are in development or planning. Does your number 7, does your institution allow off-site third-party proctoring? Yeah, everything else is
I'm going to say.
And how do students engage in campus life?
Oh, I got live. Yeah, I do that all the time. Okay. Wow, we did a lot of work today.
yes.
This is
Go
great.
team.
It does. I'm really excited. Okay. I will definitely share this with the team tomorrow. I think that, as we're waiting to pull data in from the survey, which might take us a little bit of time, maybe our topic for next time we meet should be on ways that we could possibly increase access to technology. What kind of organizations might help us with, maybe some scholarships for computers or internet connections. Going back to the accessibility, technology accessibility one. Secure student support resources to ensure students have access to technology required for online education. So I would deeply appreciate that if you can maybe ask what we could do or explore. What are some options? And then maybe we can brainstorm some ways forward.
Okay.
All right.
And so Corinne, I'll have Corinne go ahead. I think she intended, whether she sent an invite or not, her intention was to set it absolutely met every 2 weeks.
I think I got something just a little while ago from her.
Okay. All right. Well, good job, everyone. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to help us with doing this, and I think we got a great product going.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Good luck tomorrow.
Yes. You too.
Yes, thank you for your leadership, Vicki.
Oh, I couldn't do it without you, Al.
All right.
All right. Well, have a good day, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.